For more on this, we're now joined by Chief Economist at Antswisa Group, Miyelani Mkhabela, and he joins us via our video link. Miyelani, thank you so much for joining us here on the late edition. Of course, one would say that consumer inflation falling by 4.7%. Surely this is good news for consumers.
Yeah, this is good news for individual and business consumers respectively. Looking at the moderation of inflation, mainly in transport and fuel prices, which led to the 5.4% drop that is now sitting at 4.7. So I think this is really good for consumers, and we are hoping for a better second half of the year. And then we can as well start rethinking that the Reserve Bank MPC might not really hike the repo rate in the next sitting.
Yes. Of course, Miyelani, we saw, some of the reports coming out saying that some of the contributing factors indeed is the issue of transport. Perhaps maybe, does also load shedding play a role in the contributing factors to this drop?
So electricity prices has increased massively because municipalities just increased their tariffs. But when you look on transportation and fuel prices, they dropped. So like what has helped massively is the transportation prices and the fuel prices. But with regard to electricity, it has went to a different peak, basically because of the increase in municipal tariffs.
And Miyelani, looking at this relief for many consumers and many South Africans, one would ask, will this be a short-lived relief, or can we expect the trajectory for the rest of the year to be somewhat of this kind?
We can't predict what will happen the entire year or the entire second half. But what we are expected to do is to look at numbers, and then the numbers as they are, they will give us a good direction. So in the last MPC, I indicated that we need to have a repo rate hold, and then the MPC went for a hold as well. But in arriving at that decision, there will be no way that we just predict for the entire year, because we need to look at the numbers, and as they moderate to a better position, then we whether we hold or we drop the repo rate, it could be some of the decisions that can happen, because you don't really just have to look at the inflation only. You look at multiple indicators. What is happening in the world? What is it that needs to be mitigated as well? So then the decision will be taken from that position. But I don't really expect that we can hike the repo rate in the next MPC if the situation continues.
Yeah, and
to be at this level.
And a lot of South Africans are actually asking themselves, because of the inflation seeming to drop with the consumer inflation for July, many South Africans are asking themselves, can they expect the repo rates to at least, be sustained or at least drop to a lower level?
So, I wouldn't expect it to go I don't expect the MPC to hike a repo rate when we are experiencing this inflation. But I can expect them to hold or to drop the repo rate, yeah.
And perhaps, when we look at, the good news that has come out today, Miyelani, what does this mean for South Africans going forward?
I think what we will need to attend to is to continue to live within our means, because prices are driven by how consumers behave. So if really people get excited and they use credit facilities to the opposite, it will really change the situation. And I think it could be good if we can live within our means, mainly that consumers have been under severe pressure these 2 years. And then, prices have increased so much, and the repo rate is very high as well. So we will really just have to conduct ourselves well, and then we manage the situation so that we are at a better position. Not really that everything is caused by the consumers, but like when you look on fuel and transportation prices as they are easing lower, it is good that the other elements that are controlled by consumers as well are managed better.
Many consumers are asking themselves, Miyelani, and of course you did say a bit earlier on that, you cannot predict how this will turn out much later on in the year. But how long can this be sustained for, where a lot of consumers can enjoy a lower inflation in the country?
I think we need to look at the next coming maybe weeks as how the rand will respond to the global market, which is something that we need to take in consideration. And then, we will be finishing BRICS now, BRICS summit now, and when we look at everything, it can be the reaction from the global north, whether they can have some geo-economic fragmentations or FDI fragmentation. So we need to look at that broadly as well, and then we will then have a better position of what is happening in the country. It's not only a small aspect, but the country is involved in a lot of things that needs economists to continue evaluating indicators, and then as well, consumers, how they behave. Yes.
All right, Miyelani, thank you so much for your time. That is Miyelani Mkhabela, Chief Economist at Antswisa Group.